Thanks so much for being here. Welcome to our 2022 Women's Build Impact Labs. We have been going since 6 p.m. yesterday, Eastern Time. It's 2 p.m. for us now, but we've got builders all over the world. So we've got people up late, up early, working all day. They're all trying to get your sites built. We've got 3 incredible speakers here to give you some basics on some tips that might be really helpful for y'all as you're receiving websites and expanding your digital presence, trying to keep up with what it's like to maintain a website and maintain that presence online. So really excited to have these women here and to hear from them. I know that I'm going to enjoy hearing what they have to say and that I'm going to learn a lot. So I hope that y'all do too. And with that, I'll get us kicked off. Denise is going to start out talking about some Beaver Builder and WordPress basics.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Denise. I'm going to talk in this Impact Lab session about Beaver Builder. Beaver Builder is the page builder tool that your team is working with right now to build your brand new nonprofit website. And I'm going to show you how it looks like in the back and how you can change common elements on your website. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. All right, so I hope everyone can see my screen. So when you log into your brand new WordPress website, it looks like this, pretty overwhelming, but it's easier than it looks like. So in order to access your website, you hover over the title of your website and you click visit site. And this is a website that I built for this event. And just walking you through, every website has a hero section, a little bit of your mission, what you're doing, etc. A big call to action to join or to donate, more about the team, and footer. And so this is essentially probably what your homepage will look like. And now I'm going to show you how you can change some of these elements without breaking the design. So for example, you want to change the headline. So all you have to do is you click on Beaver Builder. You don't have to select anything here. You just click on Beaver Builder, and then the whole page essentially opens up for you to edit it and make adjustments. And now, for example, this headline, maybe you want to change it. Instead of event, you want to say, okay, this is actually a festival. And you save it, and it's being saved in real time. And this is how you can change a headline. Or let's say you want to change the date. All you have to do is really hover over those elements. You see when I hover, there are blue boxes. You click on the little wrench here, and it opens up, and then you can change the heading. Or the text box, or whatever you want to add it. And then let's say, okay, for this date, we actually want to change the color. So instead of changing the text here in heading, you go to style and you select a different color. So you can pick any color really that you want. For now, let's pick a kind of reddish color. And again, it's being saved in real time. And then you might want to also change the font size. You can click here in font, and you can change the size, make it a little bit larger, so everyone can see it a little better. Then you click save, and it's saved in real time. So then, for example, also every hero has a background image, and this one is static now. You see there is no animation in the background or anything really happening. What you can do is you can also make it more not so static, more dynamic. So in this case, the background is basically nested in the overall box of these 3 elements. And you can access this box here, like this big box at the edge of your screen, basically. And you click this wrench here, and then you see these are row settings. Now here for the headlines, we have heading settings. And when you click here, you have row, and this is what you want to edit If you want to change the image, for example, or if you want to make it more dynamic, for example, we could select a parallax. So parallax makes the image, the background image, moving. See, now it's not static. It's basically moving when somebody's scrolling. And you can save. Now we have a more dynamic background image. All right, so moving on. Again, you have text fields here. All you have to do is really hover over anything you want to change. And instead of style, you can go into general, you can adjust whatever you want to write and save it. And sometimes your pages, homepage, whatever elements, they might have animations. So let me save this real quick and start scrolling from the top. You see all these animations of the headlines, how they're floating in. See this? This, it's all floating in. So you can change them as well. Again, I click on Beaver Builder, only click on it, don't select anything. And for example, here, this quote is currently, I think it was fading in. And now let's make it fade or move in from the left side. So you can find animations not in general. So in general, we change text. In style, we change the color or the font size, but it's in advanced. So in advanced, you have here animation. Right now it's faded in, so we can fade left, we can change whatever. We also have quite funky animations. But usually sticking to fading options are the best, I would say. The most user-friendly ones. So this is how you can change animations. Now let's say, for example, this big call to action section here, it has currently a link that says join now, but maybe you want to rename that button and say, okay, actually this should be a donate button. Click here again on this wrench, and then you go back into general. All you have to do is change the text to donate now. And then for the link, it's either a link that is already in your page hierarchy, or it is a PayPal link, a dono box link, whatever. So in this case, I'm going to grab a PayPal link here, and then you go back to the website and you put it into the link box. And since this is a page that is outside of your URL, it's on PayPal, I would recommend to set that the link will open in a new window, and then you can save. And now this button is now going to PayPal. I'll show you, I'll click done in a moment, and then we can have a look at that. Okay. Sometimes you also want to duplicate certain elements on your website. For example, maybe you want to put this donate button again in your Who We Are section. And you don't have to click here and then select the button, etc. All you have to do is really duplicate. You can see this here. You hover over it and duplicate it. The good thing is that you can keep the style of the button, like in the design, the overall design that your team is providing you with. And then all you have to do is drag and drop it to the position where you want to have the button. Now, it's not on the left side, it's still on the right side. All you have to do is click again the wrench, and then you say style and align to the left. And there we go. Now you have the donate button twice. They look identical, but are in a different section of the page. Okay. So then, what if you want to add, for example, a video of your nonprofit? Some of you might have a nice introduction video that you want to showcase on your homepage. So instead of the image here, let's try a video. So you can select modules here in the plus sign. You click plus, and you have lots of modules here. And here you find the video. You just grab it and drag it here. And now it's asking you a bunch of questions, but all we really want to change here is from media library to embed. Now you get this box here, and you just go to YouTube or Vimeo, but probably your video is hosted on YouTube. You click share, embed, and just copy and then paste in here. And then you save it, and there's your video. And then you can just remove the image, and there you go. There you have the video showcase of your nonprofit. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, let's think of these illustrations as headshots of your board members, and let's say your team is growing. And you say, okay, we are not 4 anymore, we're actually 5 people. So all you have to do really again is, in this case, you duplicate the column. You can also duplicate just the image and then move it around. You just drag it and move it here to this that last position, and you click on photo settings, general, and then edit, and then you pick the new headshot of that new person and you say save. And now you have 5, and you can go on like that until you have all your board members listed. You could also create a second row in case you're 10 people, etc. Sometimes also, in this case, they're nice illustrations, they have transparent background. In your case, maybe the headshots are, a person took them maybe outside in nature and they don't have transparent backgrounds. So in that case, you might want to crop those images, and so they all look the same and have the same ratios. You can do that here in style. You can crop and make them a circle, and like that, so you see here it became a little bit of a circle here, and like that all your images are the same width and height essentially, so you don't have to do any manual resizing. Okay, so let's save this. I was a bit fast, but you go on done and then publish. Okay, now let's check that donor button that we changed earlier. It's opening in a new tab and it's looking good. Great. Okay, so then whenever you change something on your website, you might also want to check if the mobile version looks good. And you can do that with a right click and inspect. And there you see, let me reload this. And there you see how your website is acting on mobile, if it's looking good or if you have to make some adjustments here and there. So this could use some adjustment at the last person. And if you want to make adjustments, you click on Beaver Builder again. And so here you see you have a little desktop next to the items. When you click a couple of times, you can reach the mobile version of your website. So in this case, I think it's a column issue. 50%. And there you go. And now they all look nice and even. In this case, I would say none again. And now this is looking much, much better. And then publish again. So 2 more items, important items. Obviously, your website has a navbar and a footer. And in that case, now, if you want to change those sections, in that case, you have to hover, not click, only hover over this Beaver Builder selection here and click main header if you want to change the navbar. Now here, you can only change the button, for example, not these the menu items. I'll show you in a moment how you change the menu items. But for example, the button, if you want to change the link in that button or the text, you can do this here in the navbar in the header when we opened up the header in Beaver Builder. And here in general, again, you can change the link. Maybe people can donate on donor box. So you just take the link, put it in here and open it in a new window. And then we're going to publish it. And now this should go to donor box, yes. And now regarding the menu items, these you can adjust in appearance and then menus in your dashboard. Now, let's say, for example, you have a link that is going to a food truck or so that people can track your food truck. I'm just going to use this one as an example. It can be any URL. It can be also a page that was created by your team. It can be a custom link, whatever needed. You add it to your navbar. You can drag it around wherever you want to have it, and then save. That's it. Yep. And now you will see the food truck appear in the navbar, and it's here. Now you see also the contact us just moved to the second line. And now I did it exactly how you shouldn't do it. I clicked on the Beaver Builder, but it's actually the main header. Now, in order for it not to break into the second line, you can just drag this box a little bit more. And now it's in one line again. There you go. And this is going to PayPal. But again, it can be any page. It can be a page on your website. It can be a page outside of your website. Usually the items in your menu are usually pages created on your own website. But again, it's up to you. Okay, so then about the footer, we hover over Beaver Builder and we select the main footer. And here, for example, maybe you have a YouTube channel that you want to list. You click on the wrench here, and then you say add icon, edit icon, select icon, and then we're looking for YouTube. Just right here, you put in your YouTube channel. Here, open in a new window and save. And save. And there's your YouTube channel. Here on this side, you can also, these are simple text boxes, icon and text boxes that you can change. And those are the most common elements. We also have subscribe, the subscribe form, where you can set up the email address where the subscription notification should go to. And generally, this is really how you edit all the main elements of your website. Um, they're all rather similar. So, in general, these are really the most important just that I've just shown you, and I wouldn't change too many other elements in case or other features of an element because you might run the risk of breaking the design. But if you only want to change headlines, font size, etc., this is the way to go. Okay, and with that, this is how you navigate through Beaver Builder, how you change common elements. And up next is Vicky, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about SEO and how you can rank better with your website on search engines.
Hey, thanks, Denise. That was an awesome presentation. So now you have an idea of how to create your site. I'm going to let you know how to help it rank in the search engines. So, with that, if you can bring up my presentation, that would be awesome. Thank you. I'm going to let you know 10 things you need to know about SEO. There are a million things that you should know about SEO, but I'm just going to dig into the first 10. There are lots of ways that you can find out about SEO out there on the internet. You can go to YouTube, you can go to LinkedIn, you can do plenty of courses, but this is just a general overview about the 10 most important things. But first of all, what is SEO and why should you care? So SEO is search engine optimization. It's like a left brain and right brain thing. It's the art and science of improving your chances of getting your website seen in the search engine rankings. The art is like making your site look beautiful, as Denise just showed you, and the science is getting the right things on the pages that will help it rank. And why you should care is because people want to find your website and you want to help them find your website. So I'm going to run through some of the best practices for helping your audience find your website. So the number one thing to look at is knowing your keywords. So your keywords should be relevant to your nonprofit. And the keywords are like the main words that people would put into a search to find your nonprofit. So think about things like the problems that you solve, the audience you serve, or the population that you serve, the services that you provide, and the geographic area. Like if you're a local nonprofit, or if you're a regional nonprofit, or international, you could serve a specific population, or you could serve like a geographical population. You could serve a particular genre of people, or you could serve, I don't know, you could have a particular service. So think about the words that you need to put into your website content, and those are your keywords. The second thing is to use those keywords to write good content. The main thing to help your website get found by the people who need to find it is to write good content. That trumps everything. So that content should also be substantial. It's no good to write like 2 sentence paragraphs on a page and think that's enough to get your site found. If you're writing blog posts, they need to be like at least 300 words, and that's enough like content for a search engine to grab. You do not need to stuff your content with keywords. That used to be an old practice, where you would put every every specific synonym you could think of for a word into the content. Um, that will now get you banned by Google. They will not bring your site back if you start stuffing your content with keywords. So just write really good content. And if you consider now that a lot of people ask questions into their phone, and you want your content to match what people are asking. So write in natural language. write the way that people are asking their questions, and that's the best way to get your questions matching the content, which will bring your site back in the searches. And another one, this is a pet peeve of mine, spell out acronyms. We all use a lot of acronyms these days, but a lot of people don't actually know what those acronyms mean. And so when you're writing content that has acronyms in it, you spell it out on the first instance that you use it, and then you can use the acronym after that. But please, please, please spell out your acronyms, or I will come after you. Um, you need a title and a description on every page of your website. And I was going to say I made an error on on this image, but it's covered up by the little message at the bottom there. But I'll tell you about it. Every page should have a title and metadata. Your title should be around 60 characters, and your meta description should be 50 to 160 words. It doesn't actually influence the search rankings, but if you consider that the meta description is what shows up in the search results, a person that reads that description, that is going to influence whether or not they're going to click on that result. So you need to write good content in your meta description, and that is going to show the person what your site is about or what that page is about. And it used to be like a long time ago, people would only ever see the result for like the first page of your website, like the home page. But now they can enter your website pretty much from any page. Like the results will show up any page, not just the first page. So you have to put it on every page of your site. Number 4, this is not only for SEO, but also for accessibility, as you'll hear from Sumner in the next presentation. Alternative text on all of your images. Alt text should be well-written content that describes the image as if you were speaking to a person who was blind or who was visually impaired somehow. It should be the title of your image should not be something like dsc775.jpg. It should be the actual title of the image that you're using, and then the alt text should be an actual description. And it doesn't matter how long that description is, it should accurately describe the image. And a page reader is going to read that text to a person who has limited visibility. So they need to know exactly what is in that image. Number 5, register with Google for nonprofits. So you may have heard of Google My Business. That is like a business listing for businesses that gets you on the Google map. There's a similar version for nonprofits. It verifies you with Google. It allows you to create a listing on Google Maps, and you also get a free Google Workspace. You get free money for Google Ads in the form of Google Ads grants, and you can also participate in the YouTube nonprofit program. So that's a lot of benefits actually from Google. It's like free money. So you just have to verify your nonprofit. You verify your address. They send you a postcard to say, yes, I'm really there. And you can use all those benefits. Number 6, optimize your images. Your images should be no bigger than 1920 by 1080 pixels. A JPEG or a WebP format is preferred, and they should definitely be no bigger than 1 megabyte in size. So the preferred types of image files are PNGs. They're uncompressed images, and they are preferable for if you have like an image with a transparent background. Compressed image types are the JPEGs or the WebP that we talked about. Or if you have animations, they're going to be a GIF format, or if you prefer to say a GIF format, but that's peanut butter. Anyway, they're 256 color animations. Links. There's a lot to talk about with links, but we'll just go basic here. So internal links are links where you link to other pages on your site. You might have on your homepage, you might have links to different programs, and you would link to those pages that have the programs on those pages. Outbound links are where you link to other sites, like you might link to your YouTube channel, or you might link to another nonprofit that you partner with in the community. And then you have inbound links, are where those other nonprofits link back to your site. These all help your SEO rankings. And then also don't forget to link to your social media. That's really important. Those are the links that you have in the footer that Denise showed you earlier. Then we have your site load speed. You really need to keep an eye on this. So especially with mobile, 53% of mobile visitors will leave if your site takes longer than 3 seconds to load. 3 seconds doesn't sound long, but like if you sit there and count 1, 2, 3, while you're waiting for a site to load, it's actually quite long. You can use Google's Page Speed Insights to see how fast your page loads. And so you can keep an eye on it and check it often. Like, don't just do it once and forget about it. I would, check it weekly just to make sure. And so to influence how long your site takes to load, you compress your images like we talked about before, and also correctly size your images. We didn't talk about that when we were talking about images. If you have a space on your site where the image should be, say 300 by 300 pixels, and the image that you're putting into it is actually like 800 by 800 pixels, make that image smaller. Make it the 300 by 300 pixels before you put it into your website. Don't just put it in there. It will shrink down. Like if you put an 800 by 800 pixel image into a 300 by 300 pixel space, it will shrink down to fit the smaller space, but it will be too big. So you might actually get dinged by Google. They'll let you know that your images are too big for the space that they're fitting into. Another one is to move to a better host. So check out the web hosting. If you're actually hosting with 48 and 48, you don't have anything to worry about. But if you're not, I would definitely check out your website host. They do make a difference to your site load speed. Number 9, optimize for mobile. Google uses mobile first indexing. So they don't actually look at desktop sites anymore. They just look at mobile because everyone is looking for websites on their phone. More searches are done on mobile than they are on desktops. And also, this is another pet peeve of mine. Please don't add PDFs for people to download, because if you're on a mobile phone, say you're out in the middle of town, this doesn't necessarily apply to nonprofits, but you're out running around town and you're looking for a restaurant and you want to look at the menu and you click on a link and it's a PDF. Have you ever done that? No one's going to download a PDF menu from a mobile website. So please don't add PDF downloads. Number 10, be the expert in your area of knowledge. So your content should be authoritative, show your expertise, and then use your analytics to answer visitors' questions. So if you have Google Analytics set up, look at the questions that people are asking to come to your website and make sure you answer those questions on your website. It's a really good way to find what content you need to add to your website. So make sure you're looking at your analytics. Add new information quickly. Social media is really fast, right? So someone might come to your Facebook page, if you have one, looking for information on maybe a new program you might have. So you might have put your information on that new program on your Facebook page. Make sure you get that onto your website really quickly, right? And then also along with that, remove outdated information really quickly too. Nobody wants to go to your website to find information on a program finished in like 2010. Always proofread your content before hitting publish. That's another pet peeve of mine. We don't want to see spelling errors because that doesn't make you look very professional. We don't want to see grammatical errors because that doesn't make you look professional either. And then be the site that people trust enough to share. So you definitely want to be the expert in your area of expertise. So just to recap, this is the slide that you should screenshot. This is the the recap of the 10 things we just talked about. And it's my last slide. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sumner, who's going to tell you all about accessibility. This is the really important one. Take it away, Sumner.
I'm going to assume that was a yes because I didn't hear differently. My name is Sumner Davenport. I am a specialist in web accessibility. I have been for over 12 and a half years. I am a fair-skinned female. I have blue eyes. I'm wearing glasses so that I can see the computer. I have red hair and the personality to match. And today I'm wearing a light blue shirt because it really makes my red hair stand out. And I use that introduction because it's what we consider an inclusive introduction. There may be people on this call that do not have access to the screen to see me, or they're on their telephone and the telephone doesn't allow them to see what is being presented, or they may be a person with a visual disability. And so for that reason, to be inclusive, I know that when I'm listening to someone talk, I sometimes wonder what they look like. And to be inclusive, I meet that one right away. The slides today will be available after this presentation, as well as all the resources that I speak about. I'm going to cover real quickly some very important things about accessibility, but certainly not all of it. But let's start with something most important, and that is, what is web accessibility? This may be the first time that you're hearing this, so let me give you a quick overview. Web accessibility means that your website, the tools on your website, the tools you use, and the technologies are designed and developed so that people with disabilities can use them. It also means there's no barriers on your website that prevent them from an equal access. It means that there is no special requirements for them to access your website, meaning they don't have to go to a different section of your website. They don't have to click a special button to make something happen, to make it accessible. When they show up on your website, they get the same experience as someone who is without a current disability. Web accessibility is essential for some people, but it's helpful to all of us. And that's where we have what's called the curb cut. Some of you may remember when sidewalks, such as this, what I'm showing on the screen right now, sidewalks had the curb all the same height all the way around, even at the end of the sidewalk. And so if you were going to cross into an intersection, you had to step off of that. For persons using wheelchairs and crutches and other mobility devices, this was dangerous. So in the 60s, some students at Berkeley went upon their own initiative and created a curb cut effect in a sidewalk to show how beneficial it was and how easy it was to implement. So what we have today in the United States, at all of our crosswalks, we have these slopes down. And on some of them, we have a dotted area to let you know that is there. It's like speed bumps, I guess. The interesting thing about this is the UK was ahead of the US by 20 years. They were already doing that because they knew that people needed to have this assistance to push baby strollers. Well, in the United States, even though these curb cuts were made for people with wheelchairs and other mobility devices, I betcha there's a bunch of people that you know, if not yourself, that has pushed a baby carriage, that has pushed your grocery cart, that has hauled your luggage using the same ramp. So what was done for a few has benefited a whole lot of us. In 1932 was the first audiobook, and it was developed for veterans from the wars who had been blinded by the war. And now today, audiobooks are almost a standard. In 1952 was the first speech recognition software. It had its limitations, but it was designed to help people do the work that they were doing on technical manuals. Today we have Siri. So it is the beginning of inclusion. When we do something that includes the persons with disabilities, it expands to include all of us. When we talk about your website, we want to keep remembering the users that are blind and using assistive technology to read your website, the persons who are deaf, who are coming to your website and may want to hear your podcast or watch your video, the persons with mobility issues who cannot use a mouse, so they're using only the keyboard or other assistive devices. And then remember the people with cognitive issues when they come to your website. The interesting thing about disabilities is it is a minority group, and it is a minority group that any one of us can join at any time, because a disability can occur because of a birth, because of an illness, or because of an accident. So you may not know of anyone today that is disabled or fits into these classifications, but within your lifetime, I assure you, you will know someone, if not yourself, that fits into this. But for you as a nonprofit, when you're reaching that target market, you want more donors. You don't want to leave out any potential person that you might reach. In disabilities, the people with disabilities, their families and communities make up a very powerful community base. And in the United States, 25.6% of adults have some type of disability. If your website is preventing them from access, that's a market you're missing out on. At the same time, worldwide, the spending amount of people with disabilities is over $1 billion. But around the world, we have over 1 billion people. So around the world, we have multiple billions of dollars available that persons with disabilities are spending. Are they giving it to you, is the question. And Vicki had talked about making sure that your website loads fast. You also want to make sure that it's accessible, because statistics are showing us that 68% of people leave a website that is not accessible. So you want to make sure that you are doing what you can to include as many people so that you can get those donors and supporters and volunteers for your organization. But what can an accessible website really do for you? It will extend the reach of your message. And as Vicki talked about SEO, there is a little comparison, kind of a hand-holding between SEO and accessibility. It will lower your bounce rate, as I said previously, with so many people that will leave a site that is not accessible. You as an organization will be perceived as friendly to the disabled. So that will get you conversations within the disabled community, family, and friends. It's good for PR. It's good for your image if you are an accessible organization. You can get referrals because people are able to access your website. And there are laws in the United States, federal and state, and internationally, there are laws in almost every country that I'm aware of that have laws to protect protect disabled individuals from discrimination. And if your website is not accessible to someone, or you make it difficult for them to access your website, that may be seen as discrimination. So having an accessible website is a very powerful and positive thing to do for your organization. It's very simple. All you need is to start by planning for accessibility. It helps if you learn a little bit about accessibility ahead of time so that you understand what's being done, why it's being done, who is being served by doing this, and how does it benefit everyone when you do. And thinking user experience. There are guidelines that web designers can follow to make a site accessible, but these are technical. We want to think about the actual persons, the users that are coming to your website. If you include accessibility from the start, it's easy. It does take a little bit more effort to remediate a site that is not accessible. So as you grow your site, make strategic plans so that you can make those edits as you grow, so your website maintains that accessibility. But instead of just telling you all of this, I want to give you 5 easy to-dos that you can do to your website. And you might hear a couple of them sound like something Vicki just said. But remember, there's a handshake between SEO and accessibility. So on the screen, I have my cute little robot. He's holding the accessibility icons because I like him. I like to think that when we work on a website, that it is easy and simple. So I like to put things in there that are a little on the comical side, so we're not so serious all the time, even though this is a serious topic. The easy to do, your image text alternatives. Vicki touched on that for SEO. So if you have an image, you don't just put image, dog, cat. What you want is a description of that image that actually contributes to the content. And in SEO, as Vicki said, it gives something for Google to look for. On the screen, there is an image, 2 photos of the same dog with a caption on each photo. And without a text alternative, a person coming to your website, let's say that you were in, this happens to be a guide dog, let's say that you were in the business of educating people on guide dogs and training guide dogs. But someone comes to your website, they don't know that this exists, they don't know what it means, so to them it's useless. But a good text alternative for this particular image would be a guide dog looks up attentively. That's one of the photos. And there's the caption. So it's saying, this is me pretending to be interested. And then yawns, which is the other photo, saying, this is me not pretending. So you've given someone who is sighted a nice image to look at, and you give someone who is using a screen reader the same experience. Please do not use the quick and easy artificial intelligence. On the screen, I have a very cute skunk. And to me, this picture shows a skunk on the grass with some golden flowers. However, the automated text said that this is a picture containing grass, flowers, an animal, mammal, and kitten. Well, I don't know about you, but I certainly wouldn't want to snuggle this kitten at night. So this is the problem when you use auto-generated text. I was on Facebook one day, and their system, for whatever reason, was not loading a single image that people had posted. And I went through and I read what some of that auto-generated text said, and it was just as bad as this. When it's auto-generated, it's going to look at the meta description in that image. And if there is none, it guesses. You don't want guess. You want this to give an equal experience. If an image is on your website that supports the content, you want everyone to know. If it's something decorative, that falls in a different category. But think carefully about the images you use. The next thing is to consider your contrast ratio, the ratio between the background and the choice of font. And the biggest one that is problematic that I see so often, I just put on the screen, where the background is a gray and the text on top of it is a gray. I know that we use a lot of times a grayish background on our websites so that we're not staring at a white screen all the time and having that reflection come back at us. But when you put a gray text on that gray, it's lost. I'm sure that if you look at this screen, that very few of you can notice that under where the line reads background is F9, 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 there actually is a line that's written in white. And under that, there's a line written in a light gray. And then there's the dark gray. And under that, there's a medium gray. All of these, the white, the light, the dark, and the medium colors, I have found on websites, and they're impossible even for someone with good vision to see. On the other hand, the other problem is putting pastel text on a pastel background. I know we love our pastel colors because sometimes it feels homey and it feels comforting, but it's very difficult to read. And this is where you also need to choose your font, because a decorative font sometimes is not readable. At the bottom of this slide is a bit.ly link, bit.ly/4-9-2022. All of the resources I'm talking about today and the slides will be available at that link. So if I'm going faster than you can take notes, this information will be available. A third to do, your multimedia. This is your podcast, this is your videos. Verizon did a survey that 80% of the people who use captions are not deaf or hard of hearing. So when people think that they don't want or don't need to put good captions on a video because, you know, it's such a small group of people, unfortunately, I do hear that excuse. The truth is we all need these accessibility features. So if you're not going to do it for the 25% of people who are deaf and hard of hearing, consider the 80% of people who are not deaf or hard of hearing, but they use captions for a lot of different reasons. Captions also, please do not use the auto-generated captioning. I was listening to one the other day and they used the word deaf, D-E-A-F, and they wrote it as death, D-E-A-T-H. Totally changed the meaning of that video. So take the time to put captions on your videos. Content readability. This is very important, and you heard Vicki touch on it for SEO. Google says the quality of being easy or enjoyable to read. That means to make short sentences, not big run-on sentences without any punctuation or definition. And she'd already mentioned to you about the acronyms. Too many acronyms on a page are very confusing, and most people are not going to understand them. Even if it's within their industry, make it enjoyable and easy to read. Hyperlinks. This is a huge issue on websites that I really would like to stress is an easy fix. You'll find on websites a lot that in brackets it'll say link, or click here, or read more. Those particular links are not helpful. If someone is using assistive technology, they have no clue what that means. If someone has a cognitive issue and they're scanning the web page, they'll land on that and not know. And today, with so many people under stress, we need to make our websites more friendly to people who need to show up and need to understand. We also want to consider that stress also can cause other issues like migraines and changes in vision. So even here with a hyperlink, if your hyperlink on your website is the exact same color as your remaining text, they're not going to know that it's a hyperlink. They're not going to know that you want them to click on that and do anything. So there is a reason to change that color. You also want to let them know if they're going to leave your site without warning. That to me is extremely frustrating when I click on something and now a whole new tab or window is opened, and now if I'm on a small screen, where do I get back to that website again? You want to warn people. And it is very easy to do accessibility. And so I really hope that you do, and I hope that I have given you just enough of a taste to whet your appetite. But I need you to know that there is no magic wand. There is not one line of code that's going to make your website accessible. There is not one quick, easy fix that suddenly everything is done. And it's like you cannot walk into your house if it needs cleaning and click a magic wand and poof, boy, I wish we could do that. But when it comes to your website, you need to take the time to do it right. And if you do it from the beginning, it's easy to do. And I just want to say thank you and remind you that the resources link is on the screen. It's bit.ly/4922. And that is going to include all the resources I talked about today and explain them just a little bit more and more examples. But I thank you so much. And now I'm turning it back over to our host.
Thank you so much, Sumner and Vicky and Denise. Thank y'all so much for those presentations. I learned a lot. I had an amazing time listening to y'all. All three of these women are so knowledgeable in their fields, absolutely know what they're talking about. It's a huge honor for us to have them here speaking to y'all. So I really hope that everyone enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. Let me check really quick if we have any questions popping in. Sometimes we have people asking questions. We've already got Sumner's resources in the chat. That's amazing. Got a lot of people talking about how it's great information. Sweet. Well, I think that's it for us. Thank you guys for being here, and thanks for everyone who came in to watch.